Hi, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to this little library workshop tutorial that I put together for you guys. My main goal was just to give you a librarian's perspective on what we here at City College expect our students to learn as they embark on their research projects and some of the resources that we have available here to help them along their journey. So for today, I'd like to have some few goals. I just want to introduce the librarian's point of view in the workshops, introduce some keyword strategies, which I think is the most important part of this project, and introduce them to catalog databases and introduce them to citation resources. The reason why I think that keywords are the most important part of this project is because I think for young researchers, it really gives them a way to start connecting dots about what the research project is, the way that they can stay away from generalizing certain topics, and also to really help them engage in ideas and see how these ideas evolve over time. Number one, keywords should demonstrate a link between ideas. I know for all of us, it's a very easy way to second nature. We don't even consider this, but for the young researcher, of course, you have to connect A to B, and that's what all we're trying to teach them at this point is keywords. A good way to help them to develop link between ideas is prepare a list of synonyms in case one of the strings don't work. The more synonyms we have, the larger our net can actually be thrown into these catalogs and databases and return a great amount of hits that will hopefully narrow down their topics. We always want to use Boolean operators and or there are some more than that, but for the purpose of very basic research, using and or at this point will help us create good strings. Easy example, Langston Hughes and Great Migration might be a way to think about it. So a student may just want to write about Langston Hughes, but what aspect? Maybe we want to learn about the influences of where his writing came from. You might want to consider Great Migration. Another way of thinking about it is thinking about the Harlem Renaissance and in Southern diaspora. But when I'm thinking about building keywords and thinking about synonyms, this is the line of thinking that I'm using. An easy example that I've done in my previous courses is that I've started off with a research project. I know some classes tend to end with the research project, everything leads up, but for a couple of classes, I wanted to try to see what would happen if I started with the research project. If I started to tell my students that they were researchers from the get-go. So I found a letter by William Tuttle describing some of the riots that were happening in the 1920s, which they were called Red Summer. And then I asked them to give them a sheet of questions to answer about what were some of the historical phrases that were being used, what were some kind of names that they hadn't heard about, basically all the question marks that they were having, to write those down, and those answers would be the keywords. Some of the keywords that came out of this letter were the New Negro, Great Migration, and Jim Crow, which really helped us to kind of contextualize this letter. Once we had these keywords developed, I took them to the library. Then I took them to the library, set the workshop, and then so in the library I introduced them to the catalog, to the books, and to the articles. For this one I had them look at the Chicago newspaper and the New York Times to see what kind of articles, any kind of early accounts of the riots. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun for the students because it really helped them they had an idea of what they were looking for before they went into the library. I had to print out one article for the research project. And this research project, what they wrote about was they had to take some aspect of the Red Summer or some aspect of Great Migration or Jim Crow and I gave them an essay to write about it. And this really helped me later on as we got into literature. We ended up reading James Baldwin and Toni Morrison. It really helped the scaffolding to really help them lead them to read these kinds of texts. So the reason I mentioned this one because it was a lot of fun, and I felt the students really learned a lot from it, and it was a good way to teach research as an instructor who's trying to lead his class into research projects. The second example I want to give is what we do here at the library. That was as an instructor what I did. Here at City College, we tend to use LibGuides. LibGuides are online research guides. San Francisco State also uses them. Their library has access. I don't have access to build one for SFSU as I'm not a librarian there, but if you, more than likely, maybe I can help out a librarian do one specifically for this class, and I'll show you what they look like. But the LibGuide really helps you stay focused as you're trying to teach research because it puts everything out there on one site. And the greatest benefit is that it's live for all semesters. So your class can actually go to it later on instead of them being lost at midnight. They can go back to the guide and refer to the guide in case they have any questions on what the research is, what they should be doing. And it's a lot like Canvas, but a canvas for on library research. Let me show you what it looks like. So this is one that I use for English classes. A lot of this stuff is pulled because we work collaboratory here at City College. So I've kind of picked from other colleagues and put this one together for an English class. So you can see that it has a home page, it has a subject guide, it has, of course, me as the librarian workshop where they can contact me, my information. It says Research Guide for English, quick links to the catalog, library locations, and hours. And the first page that we've created is a Getting Started page. And again, this is not, I'm not saying that you as instructors have to create this or it's necessary, but there's a lot of good information here that maybe you want to use certain aspects of it that you can incorporate into your own workshop, and you have a place to refer back to. I'll email this link to if there's anything that you want to adapt on this site to your own workshop. But I'll highlight the stuff that I like to show students. So on this page, it's a Where Do I Start page. It gives the students opportunities to think about their assignments on how to interpret the assignments. So we give them basic databases to look for information, Credo reference, World Book Online, opposing viewpoints, and I think it's a World Book Online that has a real cool feature if we're looking for how to do synonyms. Maybe it's not World Book Online. Yeah, so the Credo actually, if you type in immigration, you'll see there's all these other synonyms that come up: migrant worker, immigration, refugee. So introducing to your students to this kind of background information is always useful because it also helps them develop other kind of synonyms, other ways of thinking about it. Maybe they say, I want to write a paper about immigration, but then once they see the word refugee, they can think about, well, no, I want to do, that's the kind of immigration I want to go to. And so it really helps us narrow down their focus. And this is what this is kind of background information does for students. It gives them the ability to think and rethink their topic. Here on this part, brainstorm words, it's a really good way of thinking about how do I reword things, not just if Credo gave me information on different ways of thinking about it. This brainstorming of words and thinking about it as my main topic down here, where it says main topic, gentrification, but I want to think about economics. And then we can think about synonyms for gentrification, Bay Area, housing inequality, or economic scarcity, socioeconomic. Then we can begin to build strings between these two. We can think about gentrification and economics and really begin to help us as we go along and begin to search our databases. Once I have them have an idea of that, I try to introduce that. I try to do an in-class exercise. And hopefully they got the idea after I explain it much more. I know I don't hopefully have to explain all that much here, but if you have questions, you can always email me. I lead them into a keyword exercise. And in this keyword exercise, my main prompt is think of a topic and then think of a subtopic. And I create a Google Sheet, and this is a sheet that I create. So I leave all this blank, and it's all filled from the last workshop I did from students. But I put them in either in pairs, in twos or threes, and I ask them to pick one topic and then to pick up a focus or angle that they want to focus on. So they came up with some pretty good ones. If you notice down here, number 2, their topic was college education. But what about college education? Student loan debt. So number 3, tackle football and brain injuries. So then I show them that this is your topic, this is your focus, and if you're going to search in the catalog, all you have to do is add the and then you have something that you can begin to search. You can also do that with the or. That would be another exercise that we could have also did, or something else. But you can see how I'm playing with this idea and my expectation of students to be able to connect these dots. Some of the things that I wanted to expand on to show them was Latinx identity. Well, I told them mainly, if you look at number 9 where it says Latinx identity, that could be seen as one. You could do Latinx and identity, but it's going to put up a lot. And the point is to kind of narrow it down. So I told them Latinx and gender. Then we can begin to kind of see that kind of narrowing down of our topic. So the reason I like this little activity is not only to show them what actually works, but what actually doesn't work and how you can actually make it better. And then so this will definitely help them as they begin to enter their catalogs, enter the catalog or databases as they're searching. So once we've done this keyword exercises, I go back to the home page, back to our LibGuide, and I show them our catalog. I go to teach them how to search books. We have a little page on how to search for books, examples of books. We teach them how to do articles, how to search for articles. And this is our articles. We have a list of databases that they can search for. You as instructors, if you're going to do this, you probably already have your databases chosen out, and you can lead this. You can go from your keyword search and start directly searching for your, in these databases, the kind of articles you expect your students to have and the kind of databases you expect them to have. One of the things that I also try to do is that, because so many of them, as you all know, don't like to use databases, they don't like to use the catalog, they just like to use internet. They like to use web research. So we have a web research page that actually tells them, that actually informs them what they should be looking for if they're going to be doing research on the web. We have looking at the URL, looking at the authority, the accuracy. If you look over here to the left, I like to use this one, the crap authority, because they get a chuckle. But it allows me to teach them about, you want current or relevant sources. You don't want outdated. You want unless, of course, there's no other critics out there, and this is your opportunity here to teach your expertise in your research and in your fields of what you've come to learn about what research is and how you've accomplished your own research or what you expected to be looking for specific assignments. The one that I really enjoy getting into is this one right here, authority, because a lot of students at this stage pull from different disciplines. They don't really understand the distinction uh, between maybe using a source that was for biology and then stick it into a humanities paper. Using authority, teaching them to think about it, who wrote it, what institution do they represent, what field of study do they represent, kind of can really help them stay away from some bad sources that they shouldn't get into, or even some unreliable sources on the web. The activity that I like to do for this one is I like to present them with credible and not credible sources. So I show them an example of, I give them this NASA example and ask them to determine if this is a credible site or not and what makes it credible based on what everything that we learned in the previous page. So everything over here that I've walked them through, I lead them to this page and ask them, credible or not? How do we know? So the students say it's a government page, it has facts, it has citations at the end, and it has data. And then I ask them to compare it to this page. Where it says global warming is a total hoax based on Brian Fisher, radio host. And so the first thing they say, he's a radio host, he's not a scientist. And they also point out there's no citations. So the whole point of giving them these two examples is to practice some of their stuff they're learning on this page about authority, accuracy, purpose. And it really helps them a lot because a lot of them are going to, well, you know that. You know every single student is going to go to Wikipedia first. So there's no way around that. But our point is to help them steer them into accurate ways of thinking this is not enough. My instructor needs something more substantial than a Wikipedia page or a random blog post. So I really like to emphasize this part of the workshop to do that. And then lastly, what I like to do is get into the MLA citations on how to cite books. So here we have a drop-down menu and we have a page on how to cite books. We give them examples, and we could give them the Purdue page also. But if this is here and they can access it anywhere, any time of the semester, then there should be no reason why they can't cite properly. We can drop down. There's also a page for articles, internet sources, in-text citations. And here's something really cool that we use at City College's Noodle Tools. I'm not sure if SFSU has access to this, but if they don't, maybe we can push for it. If they do, better for SFSU because it's a great resource. It's basically plugging in. I'm not going to open it up. If anybody wants me to demonstrate it somewhere else, but I'll demonstrate it somewhere else. But they pretty much have all the possible fields you could possibly need in order to enter a citation. You enter the author, you enter the title, and it formats everything for you. But not only does it format it, it'll also export a works cited page at the end. So it's a really good resource. And yeah, and that's what we do. So going back to what I wanted everybody to learn was that the main thing here that we try to do is number one, get them thinking about keywords, about understanding the context of their assignment, of their topic, help them develop good keywords, learn how to create good strings so that when they do go to the books and articles that they can actually find stuff. And I'll leave it up to you to think about the databases you want to use or the databases you want to emphasize. You're the experts in what you're trying to do, but if you need help narrowing things down, feel free to get in touch with me. And if you guys want me to do something like this, create a page like this at SFFCU, I'll be more than welcome to happy to do that. But I think that's about it. I think those are the things that I wanted to cover. Those are the things that I wanted to emphasize. Keywords, catalog, how to access books and articles, and how to create proper citations. Okay, so I'll leave it at that. You guys can get in touch with me if you have any more questions. And I hope you're enjoying your semester. Okay, have a good day.